Imagine a bustling city, its streets filled with merchants, craftsmen, and the sounds of daily life, all set against the backdrop of majestic stone walls and the surrounding beauty of the Aegean Sea. Now envision that this city, once vibrant and powerful, fades into absolute oblivion. No tales of its refugees to tell, no ruins betray its memory, not even whispers in the air to mark its passage through time. This is the enigma of ancient Troy, a city whose disappearance has perplexed scholars and historians for centuries, remaining shrouded in myth and legend. For a long time, the prevailing wisdom categorized Troy as a mere creation of the human imagination, a tale spun by the great epic poet Homer in his Iliad. This narrative, infused with gods and heroes, romanticized war and valor, but appeared distant from reality. Yet, when archaeologists began excavating the region known as Hizarlik in modern-day Turkey, they uncovered the remnants of a civilization that once thrived. This discovery not only confirmed the existence of Troy, but also raised an unsettling question. If Troy was real, why did no one survive to recount the tragedy that befell its people? Join us as we delve into one of the ancient world's most haunting mysteries, the fall of Troy and the chilling reasons behind its utter silence. Fact or fiction? The real Troy revealed. The epic tales spun by Homer's Iliad recount a brutal conflict, a decade-long siege that culminated in the fall of a majestic city. The narrative weaves a complex tapestry, rich in oral tradition, cultural memory, and the political machinations of a time long past. Central to this epic is a depiction of gods meddling in human affairs, heroic feats on the battlefield, and the tragic heroism of figures like Achilles and Hector. These elements, while compelling, blur the lines between history and myth. The real Troy, however, is located at Hizarlik, where archaeological efforts have revealed layers of settlement that span thousands of years, beginning as early as 3000 BC. The most prominent layer, known as Troy VLI, dates approximately to 1300 to 1190 BC and is widely considered the historical city linked to Homer's epic. Excavations have unearthed evidence of violent destruction consistent with a siege, burnt structures, collapsed walls, and streets littered with debris. Remains of food storage jars found beneath the floors of homes indicate that the residents had prepared for a protracted battle, suggesting that the city was bracing for a siege as tensions escalated around it. Among the crumbling walls and scattered artifacts lay a grim reality. The remains of a few individuals were found among the rubble of Troy VLI, raising profound questions about the fate of its populace. Archaeologists have recorded some hastily buried skeletons, while others were tragically left exposed in the wreckage, testaments to the chaos that unfolded. If Troy was home to thousands, the evidence presents a chilling paradox. Where did the rest of the population go? If Troy boasted a substantial population, why do so few remains or signs of attempted escape exist? What force or event could have trapped them, sealing their fate within the city's walls? This enigma hangs heavy as we seek to uncover the truth. The destruction itself. As we delve deeper into the remains of Troy, the evidence of a violent end is undeniable. Archaeologists discovered scorching marks on structures, suggesting that raging fires swept through residential quarters, reducing homes and lives alike to ashes. The skeletal remains exhumed from the site bear the marks of a brutal struggle, bones with slashed injuries, arrowheads embedded in various skeletons, indicating fierce street-to-street fighting that erupted in the city. This is not a story of gradual decline. It is a catastrophic tempest. The infamous wooden horse of Troy, whose legend has captured the imagination of many, brings another layer to the investigation. Some scholars argue that it may not have been a physical construct, but rather a metaphor, a representation of infiltration or cunning strategies employed during the siege. This perspective views the wooden horse as symbolic of how the enemy managed to breach the city's defenses, perhaps aided by insiders who betrayed their own, opening the gates to a relentless horde during a crucial moment of internal turmoil. Adding to this narrative of betrayal is the archaeological discovery of a broken gate structure, which implies that adversaries may have gained access through treachery or sudden weakness within the city. Yet, the grim reality remains: the absence of mass graves, typical of other besieged cities throughout history, starkly contrasts with the scant remains found at Troy. While other locations that faced destruction, like Ugarit or Hattusa, left behind telltale signs of their displaced populations, such evidence is strikingly absent in Troy's case. Was the population of Troy merely exterminated, or could they have been systematically erased from history? Could the fate of Troy be interwoven with a larger pattern of destruction that swept through the ancient world? The Bronze Age collapse, a wider apocalypse. To grasp the full implications of Troy's fall, we must broaden our lens to encompass the cataclysmic events of the Bronze Age collapse, a phenomenon that saw civilizations across the eastern Mediterranean unravel between 1200 and 1150 BC. The Mycenaeans, the Hittites, and several influential city-states faced disintegration as interconnected trade networks collapsed. The ramifications were widespread. Cities burned, records were lost, and societies were fragmented. In this age of chaos, the so-called Sea Peoples emerge as enigmatic figures in Egyptian records. These mysterious marauders are described as raiders from distant lands, wreaking havoc along the coasts of powerful empires. Scholars theorize that many among the Sea Peoples consisted of displaced populations from various collapsed states, including potentially those fleeing the destruction of Troy. Could this wave of invaders have contributed to Troy's downfall, capturing any remaining survivors and sealing the city's fate? Furthermore, environmental factors exacerbated these threats. Archaeological evidence reveals that the region suffered from severe droughts, leading to famines that compelled desperate migrations and ignited warfare over dwindling resources. Earthquake activities in the area have also been documented, suggesting that the very ground nurtured the city could have betrayed it, leading to further destabilization of the society that flourished there. Disease may have played a role as well. As the city lay under siege, outbreaks of illness could sweep through both defenders and attackers, leaving chaos in their wake and decimating populations while erasing clues of survival. If Troy's fall was not an isolated incident, but rather part of a more extensive collapse, what does this reveal about the state of the ancient world? Could the inhabitants of Troy have found themselves trapped in a domain where nowhere was safe? The implications bear profound weight. Silence forever? Cultural erasure and memory loss. What remains most striking in the case of Troy is the complete absence of cultural continuity following its destruction. In most instances, cities that experience devastation leave some traces of their cultures, even if they are scattered remnants or signs of resettlement. Yet, Troy's unique erasure implies far more than mere conquest. It tantalizes the possibility of intentional cultural annihilation. Subsequent civilizations that settled on the ruins of Troy have shown little regard for its legacy. Buildings raised by these new inhabitants utilized old foundations, but lacked any acknowledgement of the lives once lived there. This signifies a troubling reality. New occupants chose to build atop the memories of the dead rather than honor them, systematically crafting a new narrative and erasing the traces of the Trojan identity. Could the erasure of Troy from history be an intentional act? When conquerors overtake a civilization, they often seek to suppress or rewrite the histories of the vanquished. Oddly, in the case of Troy, even the supposed victors, those who triumphed over the city, did not preserve much of its tale. This silence might indicate a broader effort to eliminate the very notion of Troy as a cultural presence. Vying for attention is the myth of Aeneas, detailed in Virgil's Aeneid, where Aeneas is said to have fled the burning city and arrived in Italy, eventually becoming an ancestor of the Romans. Nevertheless, this narrative, crafted in the political landscape of Augustus' reign, was primarily designed to weave a divine heritage for Rome rather than provide an authentic historical recounting of events. The tenuous links purported between ancient Troy and early Rome seem speculative at best, feeding into a narrative constructed for purposes vastly different from preserving historical fidelity. What if it's true that some Trojan survivors did indeed persist beyond their city's fall? What if they were absorbed into new cultures, their identities obliterated so thoroughly that traces of them vanished entirely? The possibilities invoke a deeper understanding of survival and erasure. Conclusion: the vanishing of Troy. Troy was not just a city of great wealth and influence. It was a testament to the complexities of civilization and the fragility of cultural memory. As we dissect the layers that led to its complete disappearance, from the violence of war to the ominous silence of memory, we uncover something profound. Troy was not merely conquered, it was erased. Its language has faded, its people lost to time, and its memory has been co-opted and rebranded through myth. The truth behind Troy's demise extends far beyond the narrative of war. It speaks to the unsettling reality of what occurs when an entire culture is systematically dismantled, leaving no tangible traces for future generations to uncover. While its ruins still stand as silent witnesses to the past, the fate of its people remains one of the most tantalizing and haunting mysteries of the ancient world. In seeking answers, we are compelled to reckon with the impermanence of culture and the chilling silence that can follow a civilization's final gasp. What lessons can we draw from this ancient enigma, and what narratives remain waiting to be unearthed beneath the stoic layers of time? If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment. Subscribing doesn't just keep you updated. It directly helps me create more detailed, high-quality content like this. Every subscriber helps grow this channel and keep these stories coming. Thanks for watching Cyber-Theo, where history is never just in the past.